Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spying Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Plastic Scousers podcast. I'm Matt Simpson and this is my delightful co-host, a man whose favourite movie of the year is a wildlife documentary that can only be viewed in specialist R18 rated cinemas. It's Owen Collins.
Hello, yes, thank you very much, Matt. And I mean, it's been a pretty poor year for cinema, I think. Let's be honest. You know, we had Trainspotting 2. We had a new Spider-Man movie. We had it was quite a good one with what's his name in. But for me, kind of Anteaters on Heat 4 was just the highlight. You know, the camera work, the narrative, character arcs, the shagging. Was just all sublime. Anyway, we bring you all the games, goals and talking points from the 6 fixtures that took place throughout November, and we will be providing our usual brand of insight and irreverence along the way, and assessing how the season as a whole is going so far.
Excellent. As well as that, we'll move into midfield as we continue our search for Liverpool's greatest ever Premier League despicable 11. And we host a Hunger Games style battle royale, where 18 LFC greats, past and present, enter our battle arena, but only one will leave victorious.
But first, to the football, and back to Anfield on a European night.
Champions League, we are home to Maribor.
Indeed, only our second Champions League night at Anfield for the last 3 years.
Indeed, the first of course being Sevilla, which didn't go entirely according to plan. But this time we were facing a side we had previously demolished not 2 or 3 weeks earlier.
Yes, in a record-breaking fixture. So we were hoping for something similar tonight. It was considerably less dramatic, really, wasn't it?
I mean, I pretty much expected Maribor to kind of park the bus and block, which is kind of understandable. Just damage limitation mainly.
I mean, what a lot of teams end up doing at Anfield these days. I mean, we are imperious at home, aren't we? We haven't lost all season.
No, it's we've had a very impressive run. We are very dangerous, and particularly an Anfield crowd on a European night. It's no surprise that Maribor did what they did.
But yeah, I mean, what is there to say about it? It's
slightly frustrating first half. We struggled to break them down. Their keeper made a couple of excellent saves. Gini Wijnaldum had to go off early with an injury. So Captain Hendo came on, which was a slightly disappointing thing to see. But yeah, the first half kind of felt a little bit frustrating.
I mean, what was this? Just to clarify, you mean it was disappointing to see Wijnaldum come off rather than see Henderson come on?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. I was just kind of clarifying on Hendo's behalf, really. Like you said, frustrating first half. We didn't really have much go our way in terms of chances. We had, like you say, just couldn't really break them down. They were a good unit, Maribor, in terms of, if you look at their domestic form. Actually, it's not surprising, like, they're sort of side, but I can't really think of a sort of English equivalent, because obviously they're sort of champions in Slovenia, but
yeah.
So arguably their English equivalent would be Chelsea, but it's very much not, obviously. But a quite, organised, defensively minded side. It does make you think how we scored 7 against them at their place, really.
Yeah, I mean, they were a bit more open at home. I think they kind of didn't really know what to expect with us turning up and doing what we did. But yeah, particularly, at half time over there we were 4-0 up, so to go in a half time 0-0 was a little bit frustrating.
It was. And I mean, you never really doubted that we'd kind of make the breakthrough. It didn't feel like this was going to end up being a goalless draw. And for once, when we're not really putting many balls in the net, I didn't feel like we were going to end up losing it on the counter-attack. But it was, frustrating. But luckily it didn't take us long after the second half to get in front.
No, and it was that man, not for the first or indeed last time this season, it's Mo Salah.
Mo Salah, with a cross from a man who's actually making the Champions League his playground. 2/3 of a beast, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
It's a lovely ball as well, and Salah getting in at the front post, finishes it off, and finally the breakthrough is found.
Yeah, I mean, Alexander-Arnold, considering he'd never played European football before this season, is having a fantastic campaign. I mean, another assist this game. He's already scored 2 goals prior to this game. I would almost say he should be our first choice right back.
Well, it's what seems to be happening is him and Gomez are alternating. Gomez is playing in the weekend games, and TAA is playing in the sort of weekday games, which means that obviously he's playing the European matches.
But he just seems to have a lot more going forward than Joe Gomez does, do you know what I mean? Without sacrificing ability at the back.
It's very true. I'm not going to argue with you on that.
He's like Alberto Moreno would be if he was Scouse and good.
At defending, certainly. Yes, I'd agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
A few minutes later, after Salah's goal, we're awarded a penalty.
We've not had the best of luck with penalties this year, just for context. It's been, 5 so far this season that we've not scored? We've had misses in the Champions League against Sevilla, against Huddersfield Town. This was the 4th penalty. James Milner, who, after we made such a fuss in the last game of October, where he'd not been selected to take it against Huddersfield Town, or was that against Sevilla or Huddersfield? I'm getting my penalties mixed up now.
Huddersfield, I think, because it was Salah who took it.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually the first penalty James Milner has taken all season. And he actually, it was against Huddersfield. Salah had just scored a penalty for Egypt in the World Cup qualifiers, so he was chosen to take a penalty instead of James Milner. Missed it. You know, everyone was like, why isn't James Milner on penalty duties anymore? James Milner gets put on his penalty and misses it.
Yeah, another it's a save again.
And that's 2 consecutive penalties that James Milner has missed. But I mean, I can't answer this definitely, but do you think James Milner has ever missed 2 penalties consecutively before?
I don't think he's ever missed 2 penalties before, and he only missed 1 prior to joining us, so...
Yeah, he is, he's losing his touch, it's worrying.
I mean, yeah, but we don't seem to have a consistent penalty taker at the moment. I mean, there's a couple of other potential options. We haven't seen Coutinho take one yet. We haven't seen maybe like Wijnaldum take one. But yeah, it's a bit weird how all of our players seem to be losing the ability to take penalties. Are they getting harder? Like, our penalties just getting harder?
Well, goalkeepers certainly aren't getting better. Maybe it's the ball. Maybe it's a new ball. It is supposed to be lighter, isn't it? This new, whatever it's called they're using this year.
Yeah, but it seems to be year on year, more and more penalties are missed. It's very strange. Oh well.
If there's any scientists who feel like doing a study
on why penalties
you have
are
our
missed.
blessing.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
We'd love to get you on to talk about that. Absolutely. Fortunately, that miss didn't cost us too much. 10 minutes later, it's actually Milner who's heavily involved in our second goal.
Yes, talk us through it.
So it's a great bit of driving skill. Emre Can picks up the ball, drives forward, and it's a brilliant 1-2 between him and Milner to cut the entire defence apart. I mean, it's a sumptuous ball from Milner. Chan's in, and it's a beautiful finish. It's a lovely goal.
It is. He's sort of becoming the new Coutinho in the way that he only scores really lovely goals. Emre Can.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it's a weird one with Can because obviously his contract situation is problematic, and in all likelihood at the moment it's going to be his last season with us. So I don't know how to feel about him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for him because I think he's been messed around a bit by the club. I think he's maybe got his agent is probably not helping matters. I can't help but wondering, well, if he really cared so much, just sign a new contract, do you know what I mean?
This is it, isn't it? I mean, I guess we should still support him while he's here, and he did score this second goal, so good on you, sir.
Oh yeah, still supporting, but yeah, it was. I remember we just sort of saw the rest of the game out, really, didn't we? It was obviously not ever in danger of being lost. We saw Salah come off for Daniel Sturridge, making another Champions League appearance this year, at about the 17-minute mark, I think it was. And Sturridge himself got on the score sheet just in time.
He did, right at the end of the game.
Minute.
Right at the end of the game, cross from Alberto Moreno, it eludes everyone. Sturridge at the back stick and smashes it home. 3-0, job done.
It's people will say Sturridge only scores against the weaker teams, but again, if you look at Maribor's record this year in the Champions League, they're doing remarkably well. If you look at their results. So they're not that much weaker than Sevilla or Spartak Moscow. It's not like they're the whipping boys of the group just because we put 10 past them. So that was like it was a kind of it was a satisfying result without being extravagant.
Yeah, it was excellent. I think overall 10-0 over the two games. I mean, can't complain about that. Another 3 points in the Champions League. Things are looking good.
Yeah, and our only 2 wins of the Champions League so far. So yeah, nice to put ourselves in a good position going into the last 2 games. Talking of being in a good position, the London Stadium was where we took ourselves next.
Yep, a place that on our first visit we managed to win 4-0. An absolutely demolished West Ham, who had previously been a bit of a bogey side for us. And we turned up here with confidence.
Like you say, we're a bit of a bogey side, but then they've not really had the same level of success at the Olympic Stadium that they had in their last season at Upton Park. So it's not exactly a fortress for them. And there were some odd tactics on display today, weren't there?
I mean, yeah, Liverpool, who had mostly throughout the season used a typical 4-3-3 formation, sort of surprised everyone by going 4-4-2. 2 banks of 4 with Firmino and Salah playing as kind of a strike partnership. I mean, no one has seen Salah playing centrally, and alongside Mane and Oxlade-Chamberlain left and right, it was a bit of a surprise.
But it worked, I would say, straight out of the blocks again. We've got 3 of the best attacking players in the league, leading our line there, with Mane on as well. Where was Coutinho this game? I can't remember. Was he injured?
Coutinho's been injured through the latter part of the last month and into this one as well.
That's right, yeah. It was, straight away, a kind of just great sort of fluid football, looked for more dominant side straight away. We did something we've been doing a lot this season in terms of counter-attacking. One of the key sort of tenets of Klopp's management at the moment, I would say, is less for gegenpress, which is kind of what he's always associated with, and more he's turned us into a really powerful, ferocious counter-attacking side. And we saw that again with the first goal, which quite hilariously came from a West Ham corner. It
did indeed. A corner comes in, it's sort of half cleared. We nick the ball in the middle of the park, and then suddenly it's 3-on-2. Firmino, Mane, and Salah all running through. Breaks on, 1-on-2 passes, and Salah sweeps in the goal wonderfully. And it didn't take long for that 1-0 to be doubled to 2-0 after a corner comes in, bit of a scrap in the box, and Joel Matip is there to tap in.
Yeah, that's a weird one. First centre-back to score this season, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't really have many goal-scoring centre-backs. Klavan's only scored once. This is Matip's second ever. Gomez hasn't scored. Lovren's only got a couple. It's always a rare, nice moment to see. But the rest of the half was pretty much all us. We sort of had complete control of the game, created more chances, didn't manage to take any of them, but we went in at half-time 2-0 up. Yeah,
and another successful half at the Olympic Stadium, not the London Stadium. So second half, no changes.
That's not quite true.
Is it not?
West Ham made a change and brought on a former Liverpool player in Andy Carroll.
Yes, sorry. I meant our lot. I was thinking, well, hang on, what's he talking about? Yeah, Andy Carroll came on, who is one of those players a bit like Benteke who you're never quite sure you're not going to concede against. Do you know what I mean?
No, he is always dangerous, and particularly against our sort of slightly vulnerable defence. In the second half, he did cause a threat and created a couple of chances and caused a bit of problem in our box. So yeah, West Ham certainly were a bit more. Considering in the first half they looked pretty inept, they came out the second half and with Carroll on looked a bit more dangerous.
Yeah, and actually they were the next team to score. Manuel Lanzini on the 55th minute put it away. Came from what I would call a rare mistake from Joe Gomez.
Yeah, gets caught under the flight of the ball, doesn't really make a decent challenge. I don't think he's aware of where Lanzini is behind him, and Lanzini's in and he finishes it well, and they're back in it all of a sudden.
Well, all of a sudden, but then all of a sudden, we two goals up again.
Yeah, it didn't take long, did it?
It didn't. I think Lanzini's goal was technically marked down as the 55th minute. Oxlade-Chamberlain's was the 57th, but it was pretty much straight from the restart. I remember someone saying that, because West Ham have been singing, well, obviously their song is I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, right? When they score, loads of bubbles will just be released everywhere. I'm not quite sure who does it or where they come from, but a bit like a sort of smoke machine or something, or when they do a touchdown in NFL and you have a big flame things go up. West Ham just starts squirting bubbles everywhere. And someone said that it was such a quick response by Oxlade-Chamberlain that the bubbles haven't even popped yet.
Yeah, it was literally, blink and you'll miss it. Straight from the kick-off, we break forward at pace. Oxlade-Chamberlain has one effort, saved, but then at the second attempt, sticks it in. And it's, as you say, about a minute later, and the 2-goal lead is restored. After this, West Ham did put us under a bit of pressure, as I said, had their best spell of the game. We did look threatened once or twice. But then finally, with about 15 minutes left on the clock, we score 4 again. This time Salah with yet another goal. It's a great finish on his great strike in the bottom corner.
Yeah, another goal for him. And actually, if you look at the last 3 games since we lost at Wembley against Tottenham, we've now scored 11 goals in 3 games.
It's not bad, is it?
It's remarkable. And, that means out of our last 5, we've scored 19 goals.
Good God.
And conceded 5. Problem is 4 of them were in the same game. But what can you do?
I think this was the end for Bilic, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's worth noting that this was Slaven Bilic's last game in charge of West Ham. I think it was a Monday morning he was sacked.
Yeah.
This was on a Saturday evening. And, yeah. I mean, I've got no particular warmth towards the bloke, but it's always a shame to see, Well, I think it was quite popular there, but they were really doing badly this season.
Oh, they were poor.
And like I say, they're on a poor run of form. I was sure what was going to happen was that they were going to sack him before we played them, get someone new in, and then they were going to be brilliant and beat us, despite losing every other game this season. Which is exactly what happened last year. If you look at Bob Bradley at Swansea, sacked just before we played them. Suddenly Paul Clement's side beat us. If you look at Mike Phelan at Hull, sacked. In comes Marco Silva, they beat us. Claudio Ranieri at Leicester, doing badly, they sack him. Craig Shakespeare comes in, they beat us.
Crystal Palace at home with Big Sam.
Although that was quite late in the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was still, Christian Benteke scored twice, that's really annoying.
Yeah, I mean that hurt, but it wasn't like they've been doing badly and then found form and a new manager just in time for us to go there. But yeah, so actually it was quite a relief to get in under the Bilic reign. I'm going to prophesise now that it will happen again with Swansea City this season. We played them on Boxing Day. I'm going to, it will obviously be January by the time we do the December podcast, so remember this moment, dear listeners, but I'm going to say that Swansea are going to sack their manager the week before Christmas. We're going to go there and lose to Swansea as managed by, I don't know, whoever their assistant manager is at the moment, or, Mike Marsh or Ryan Giggs or somebody like that.
Sack before Christmas. Merry Christmas, Paul Clement.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, 4-1. Take that great result. Scoring goals for fun at the moment, it seems. And then our next game is back at Anfield against a side we've really struggled against in recent years in Southampton.
Yeah, another bogey side. I think last year we played them 4 times in all competitions. I think we scored once, or we might not even have scored at all. In fact, I don't think we did we?
No, it was 2 0-0 draws, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
2 0-0 draws and 2 1-0 defeats. Yeah,
in the League Cup.
No, the difference there, like you say, the League Cup, they put us out in semi-finals, the bastards. Difference this season is that their manager has gone. Claude Puel, who again knew how to set up defensively, and we had no other plan B, and has been replaced by a former Liverpool player. One of the few former Liverpool players currently managing in English football. They used to be everywhere. Now I think it's just him and Harry Kewell at Crawley.
There we go. Yeah, Maurizio Pellegrino, who spent 6 months with us several years ago now in charge of Southampton. So they arrive at Anfield. Obviously, we kind of know what to expect. They're going to be well organised and make it difficult to break down. And for about half an hour, they certainly did that. But it's that man again. 3 games we've talked about so far. 3 games in which he scored first. It's Mo Salah.
I can't actually remember the goal too well.
Oh, that's a shame because it's a beauty. So he's on the corner duties. He whips it in. Doesn't really beat the first man, but comes back. Wijnaldum slips it through to him, and Salah curls in an absolute beauty from the edge of the box. This is a wonderful strike.
Let's see. The problem with him is he scores so many, but I'm actually struggling to remember which one's which. Do you know what I mean?
You do get a lot of them, yeah. There's so many, and this isn't the last time he scored, this season, and you are right, he scores so many goals. But he scores so many different types of goals as well, he scores headers.
It's not like, Coutinho, you can basically sort of bank that if you can't remember a Coutinho goal, it'll be from outside the area, top corner, and it'll be incredible. But Salah, like you say, he's coming from all directions. You say this wasn't the last goal he scored this season so far. It wasn't the last goal he scored this game, was it?
No, 10 minutes later, a wonderful pass from Philippe Coutinho in the middle. Absolutely outside his foot, cuts the entire defence apart, and Salah, brilliant little dink over the keeper. He's got 2.
I think he might be our best forward since Suarez. I mean,
based on current form, you can't argue with that.
I say that with a sort of, sound of uncertainty. I think he's our best forward since Suarez. I don't almost think it's debatable. I think in terms of the amount of goals he's scoring, which is ultimately what a striker is judged on, he is unparalleled. Who have we got that's even close to him at the moment?
But he's not a striker. That's the most amazing thing. He's a winger. He's not playing up front like, that's where Roberto Firmino plays. He's playing wide on the right, wide on the left. Yeah, half-time 2-0. It's all fairly comfortable. Southampton don't really cause as much of a threat for the rest of the match. Charlie Austin maybe had 1 or 2 chances after coming on after half-time. But eventually we do break through with a third. Some good play from Firmino to turn out of a tight corner in the box. Hits a shot, falls to saves, but it falls directly into Coutinho's path. Hammers it home, 3-0, game over, job done.
And it's one of those rare Coutinho goals, but isn't out of the area, top corner.
No, it's a good finish. He's on the run, hits it on the half volley. Belts it in. Considering he'd been injured for a little while, straight back in the starting lineup and straight back with the goal.
Yeah. We didn't actually mention that he was back inside. I mean, obviously it was kind of obvious from the fact he set up a goal, but yeah. Just on a brief note about the lineups there, which we didn't cover, there's a certain someone in the Southampton side that is quite familiar to all of us.
Absolutely.
Virgil van Dijk got quite a good reception from the Anfield crowd, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he made his intentions clear in the summer that he wanted to join us. Didn't happen. Not to say it might not happen in the next month or so, or indeed at the end of the season. But yeah, I think we kind of made our intentions clear as well.
Do we still want him based on his performance today?
It's not really that fair. Most of their team weren't that good. It's not fair to judge. But Van Dijk. We'll see what happens with that one. I don't think that story's going away.
No. I'd like to think we'd sign him in January, to be honest, but we never sign anyone good in January.
The market's very difficult in January, to be fair.
Other than Coutinho and Sturridge and Suarez, admittedly.
But that was a few years ago. The whole thing's changed. The market's changed now because everyone puts so much more premiums on January signings because of all the money going around, and I think people are just put off from, unless you're desperate, like, you know, bottom of the table sides. It's really difficult to buy anyone.
I've got an idea I'd like to put to you, Matt. And it might be the first in a feature of recurring feature of Owen's chilly crazy ideas.
Harebrained schemes with Owen Collins.
Yeah, well, we're just going to run it up a flagpole and see if you salute it. Do you think football would benefit from sort of bank holiday sales?
What, of players?
Well, yeah, so you've got the transfer window, but then what if every bank holiday weekend the transfer window opened again just for that, like 72 hours? Like the sales do.
Like Black Friday?
Exactly. Does football need a Black Friday where actually, for like one weekend a year, outside of transfer windows, you can buy and sell?
Just a fire sale, pretty much, yeah.
Or a fire buy?
I mean, it's not a bad idea. You can kind of flog off players you don't want on the cheap and things.
Like literally a 3-day transfer window. Would it kind of avoid ridiculous protracted sagas like we had with Virgil van Dijk and Naby Keita and basically everyone tried to sign this season? Or would it kind of just get stuff done? So you'd be like, right, we need to sign a central defender, he wants to play for us, Southampton, we'll give you 60 million, you've got until sort of Sunday evening, done. You know, I think it would be really good.
It's a decent idea. I don't know if it would ever come to fruition, but yeah.
I think it would be a lot better than the January transfer window because that just is a complete anticlimax every season now. Deadline day is an anticlimax. The whole transfer window is a bit of an anticlimax. I think scrap the January transfer window and have like three-day weekends across the season where you can buy. So like, you know, November, just before Christmas, maybe like sort of Good Friday, Easter Monday kind of time, and I don't know, one in late January perhaps, like international breaks.
What, you should be able to buy players during the international break?
Well, not like overlap, not the actual international breaks, but like have it broken up throughout the season, rather than like have a sort of, you know, rather than have a winter break to play international football in or whatever the suggestion always is. Rather than like kind of as we break up the football season every couple of months to play a week of international football. You don't even have to stop the actual games, but just have, you know, a weekend, 4 days every couple of months where you can buy players and get rid of the January transfer window. And I think it would make it a lot more exciting.
It might do. I don't think it's a bad idea. Don't think that at all.
Good. More potentially crazy ideas, but might actually work next month.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, meanwhile, 3-0 scoreline at home to Southampton. Really, you know, a good result considering how we've struggled against them in the past. And 3 more points on the board.
And it was back to the Champions League after that, and it was across to Spain to play in Sevilla Stadium for what I think might be one of the first times ever.
We've played Sevilla in the past, of course, but that was a final at a neutral venue, and then the 2-2 draw at home in the first Champions League game. Obviously, we know, you know, evidently we have struggled against Sevilla. Seem to be becoming a bit of a bogey side or a bit of a curse side for us in Europe, anyway. So yeah, this was a game of two halves, to use a cliche.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, our first game at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium, and we couldn't have asked for much of a better start, really, could we?
It only took 2 minutes, and we scored from a corner. Ball's whipped in, Wijnaldum heads it on, and Firmino's at the back post to tap it in. We're 1-0 up already.
Yeah. I mean, just a quick note on the team selection, because it's sort of what you'd expect. I mean, we've now got, obviously, our Fab Four back in full. So Firmino, Salah, Mane and Coutinho. Joe Gomez stays at right back, though. Which, having said earlier, Trent Alexander-Arnold is sort of Champions League right back. Joe Gomez gets the nod. But, yeah, those are the only really notable things. And like you say, 1-0 up within minutes. And that's exactly what we needed. And from then on, Seville looked shaky. We just, you know, we had the confidence, we had a bit between our teeth. We had plenty of chances to double our lead. And we eventually did. Took us another 20 minutes.
It's such a fascinating thing as well, because Mane scores it, but I mean, it's a carbon copy of the first goal. Literally, corner in, headed on, this time by Firmino. Mane at the back post finishes it off. It's quite amazing. Yeah. But I mean, I just found it quite amazing that it was a carbon copy of the first goal, and Sevilla hadn't learnt their lesson, and we managed to repeat the trick.
Yeah, and they really were all over the shop defensively.
Defensively, I'd certainly agree.
I mean, we didn't actually have much to do in our defence. Karius, yet again. I can't tell if I feel sorry for him or not. He's been our Champions League goalkeeper this year. But, both against Maribor twice, he's hardly had to touch the ball. He's not really ever been properly challenged. I mean, when he has, he's not delivered, too great a sort of presence, if you think, against Spartak Moscow that first time. But...
Yeah, well, Spartak, again, it was all us apart from one opportunity which they scored from. Sevilla was, all over the place at home. I will say he did make an incredible save between the two goals, where he sort of got down low and stopped Ben Yedder with a brilliant start that came off the post. That was one of the few shining moments I've seen of Karius since he joined us.
That was a fantastic save. That was the goalkeeper we thought we were buying then. It was, then on the half-hour mark, we scored again.
Yeah, absolutely no defence whatsoever to be seen here as we burst through, pace and counter-attacking display, as we already talked about. This time Mane's running through, feeds it to Firmino, who's got a tap in and an open goal. We're 3-0 up away in Europe, again.
This did feel like it was going to be another Maribor, didn't it? But
this is a much better team. Sevilla are a much better team, so to be absolutely destroying them at their own place is incredible.
But hadn't they lost, when we were beating Maribor 3-0, hadn't they shipped 5 goals to Spartak Moscow?
Away in Spartak, yeah.
Yeah, which is, considering Sevilla were one of the best teams in the group, I think they were top seed, weren't they?
No, it was, top seeds always go to top of the respective league, so Spartak were top seeds in our group.
I mean, it was just ridiculous. Considering they were supposed to be one of the best, I thought we might be, putting 5 past them as well at this rate. We didn't get any more before half time, but you did feel that actually, if we kept this up in the second half, we could easily score, we could easily double the scoreline, maybe even have another 7-0.
I mean, I wasn't expecting that, to say Sevilla, I know you don't say they're not the top seeds, but they felt like the biggest threat to us in the group, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
With our past history as well against them, it's they're never to be written off.
No, and they would have gone in at half time getting a boot up their arse. They got booed off the pitch by their own fans. They would have wanted to come out and correct some of the many mistakes they made that half, and they did.
Yeah, and it's a player who has gained quite a lot of attention, particularly for improved performance this season. Who has a nightmare against his former club. This is the Alberto Moreno show back in full force.
Oh, God, I know.
Just when you think somebody's changed.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water. I mean, I'm quite happy to gloss over this half. I don't know about you. It's not something I want to dwell on particularly. But
no, well, I'll run through it just for the sake of, posterity. Firstly, Alberto Moreno, a silly challenge to bring someone down. And from the resulting free kick, Ben Yedder, who had also scored against us in the first leg and is proving a bit of a thorn in our side, gets his head on it, and it's 3-1. 10 minutes later, Alberto Moreno again, with a stupid challenge in the box, brings the player down, and this time Ben Yedder with a penalty to make it 3-2. With half an hour to go, you're thinking, oh shit.
Yeah, you're thinking we are gonna kiss royally.
And I mean, we almost made it.
I mean, I was listening to this game on the radio, and when that third goal went in for us, whoever was commenting said, that's it, Liverpool have won the group. Because actually, we should point out, Spartak Moscow, did they lose or they drew?
I think they drew at Maribor.
Yeah, I think Maribor scored a 90th minute equaliser against Spartak Moscow earlier in the evening. Because I think it was at Spartak again. Or wherever it was an earlier kick-off. So we knew that if we won tonight, we would definitely win the group.
Yeah.
Winning the group would mean... Winning the group would be great anyway, because we get supposedly easier draw in the next round.
Well,
but winning it with supposedly. Winning it with one game left to go meant that massively hectic December fixture schedule just got slightly more relaxed. We could use that game to, test out some of the fringe players who haven't had a chance since we lost to Leicester in the League Cup. We can really just, come out in the second half and play expansive, just enjoyable football. We've got Chelsea at the weekend after this game. For commentators on the radio were saying, make all 3 changes at half time, rest your, key men, rest your Coutinhos, your Manes, your Firminos, and just take your foot off the gas. Now, weirdly, we didn't make those changes, but we did take our foot off the gas. I can't decide whether we should have made changes or not, because we didn't actually change anything until the 63rd minute, by which point, like you say, it just become 3-2, when Coutinho came off for Chan, and Alberto Moreno came off.
Yeah, getting his torture done and getting him off the pitch as quickly as possible. Yeah. I kind of see the point. Is he's trying to ease the tension, Chan for Coutinho, just trying to solidify the midfield. And I mean, it almost worked. Almost. Oh, this is the sucker punch. Corner, the same corner that we'd scored from twice. Ball falls round in the box, not cleared. Pizarro for them. Last kick of the game, we've thrown away 2 points.
It was so predictable. Do you know what I mean? That was the sort of. You just knew it was going to happen.
It was so naive. I think the whole second half was so naive. I think we thought the game was done. And Sevilla are not a team to be underestimated. And again, they've come up and screwed us over. It's like we've got a curse against them or something.
It would have been so unlike us to hold on for a 3-2 win. I can't remember the last time we held on for a win by 1 goal like that.
No, I can't either.
The last time we were 3-2 up was against Watford on the opening day of the season, and the exact same thing happened. You just knew we were going to piss it up the wall.
Yeah, we can't scrape wins. We either win fantastically or we get a draw from the jaws of victory.
Well, that's it. It's not even like I'm up like a scraped win. It's a thrown away draw, like against Bournemouth last season. Do you remember the 2-2 draw there? It was it's just.
I mean, to throw away a 3-0 lead like that is simply not acceptable, and it shows real naivety in Europe, especially.
Yeah, and a lot of people came in for quite a lot of stick after this result. Klopp came in for quite a lot. Karius quite predictably came in for quite a lot. Moreno certainly got a lot. It's hard to argue with any of that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's we were lucky that because of results going other ways, we were still okay considering the last game against Spartak. We only really needed to draw to get out of the group. So I mean, we sort of got away with it, but it just felt really disappointing.
And actually, I wasn't feeling confident for Spartak after this game, knowing how we play, and knowing how we can throw stuff away and cock stuff up. But that's a game for another month. Let's move on hurriedly.
Yes, to a home tie against the reigning champions of Chelsea.
Interesting team news was that after the kind of midweek heroics / shit show, Moreno kept his place in the side. Obviously, Mignolet came back in for Karius, but both Firmino and Mane made way.
Yeah, and Daniel Sturridge starts.
Yeah, against his former club, which hasn't happened often this season. Not against his former club, but just starting against anyone.
No, it's an unusual occurrence. Starts up front.
And Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain started as well. And on the bench, very excitingly, Mr. Adam Lallana.
Yeah, finds himself back in the side after a hideous injury that's kept him out for about 4 months.
Yeah. So, what do we want to say about this game?
I want to say a couple of things. Firstly, only one team was trying to win it, and that was us. We dominated the game. It was, at times it was tense and touchy, but Chelsea never looked particularly threatening. Morata was very isolated up front. They spent a lot of time defending. I think we were much more dangerous. We created chances that we didn't take. And you know what happens when we do that. First half ends 0-0, very frustratingly. And then more of the same really in the second half, and we finally find the breakthrough with just over an hour gone.
Yeah, and it was no prizes for guessing who it was, really. You would bet your house on it. Mohamed Salah.
5 games, 4 times in which he scored the first goal.
There's no more to say about him that I haven't already said this month.
No.
He is superlative. And actually, we should point out, this was his former club as well, coming up against Chelsea.
Indeed.
Who signed him basically to stop us signing him in 2014. And, gave him a year and then sold him again because they just didn't. He didn't really have much of a chance there, did he?
Nope.
So he had something to prove, and it looked like he might have scored a winner.
Yeah, some good play as well. Credit to the Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's slowly but surely building himself into our team, showing what he can do. As a squad and useful utility type player, much in the mould of Milner, but more forward thinking. Slips it ball into Salah, finishes it off well, and all our sort of effort had finally paid off.
And it looked like we were going to get the 3 points against the champions. But, as we may have just mentioned against Seville, we don't hold on for wins.
No, but we were really unlucky here. I put this down simply to that was a fluke how they scored.
It was. It was almost typically as well, given what I've just said about Salah. It was a player who Chelsea only really signed to stop us signing him, which was Willian.
Yeah, although he has played a bit for Chelsea, so fair enough.
He's played a lot more than Salah ever did, but it's always annoying when we come up against and concede against players who should have been playing for us. I think of Mkhitaryan at Man United, Willian at Chelsea, Sigurdsson for whoever he's playing for these days. Do you know what I mean? Clint Dempsey. Like, there's a whole kind of subsection of Premier League players who nearly signed for Liverpool and then went on to play quite well against Liverpool.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Willian hadn't been on the pitch for a couple of minutes when he scores. And let's be honest, it's just a cross. It's a cross that goes over Mignolet. Whether he should do better or not, that's up for debate. But it's a fluke. And through nowhere, through absolutely undeserving, Chelsea have stolen a point.
Yeah, and it's just such another disappointing result after Wednesday night. And we really needed something out of this game to put the bad memory of Wednesday behind us, or Tuesday, or whichever night it was. It was a tough week, Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what's frustrating, I think, is the fact that we played well and we didn't come away with a win, and that happens too often. Do you know what I mean? We've not actually had that many bad performances all year. The only really bad performance we've had was Spurs at Wembley, I'd say, because the Man City game was a write-off because we were conned after Mane was sent off, so I'm not going to count that. But the only really bad performance was Spurs at Wembley. Otherwise, we've actually been playing really well, but we're letting ourselves down with poor defensive work.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's it gets to the point where you think, what do we want? Do we want good performances, or do we want to win? We should be able to do both. And we champions are made of teams that can hold on and grind out results and score the winners and then keep them as the winners. Do you know what I mean? I didn't phrase that very well, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look at what Man City are doing. Even when they don't play well, they can still get wins.
Yeah, and normally in the last 10 minutes of a game, which is when we're conceding.
That's true.
And that is the difference between us and Man City at the moment.
Oh well, as gutting and unfair as it was 1-1. As we go to the final game of the month, we're there already. And another team who would at once be considered a bogey side for us, maybe not in recent times, but it's Stoke City.
We've been fairly good against them for a few years. We're not it's been a while since they were quite sort of our bogey side. They did sort of get replaced with like Palace and West Ham a bit, but this was again an interesting lineup because you had Dominic Solanke come in. Other than that, it was a sort of fairly standard lineup. We saw Dejan Lovren coming back in to replace Klavan, but not really what you'd call an experimental lineup.
This is one of those games that, in the end it looks comfortable, But I mean, things could have been so very different, you know. As you say, Solanke starts for the first time, you know, which is something of a surprise to everyone, but it was good to see him getting an opportunity, because I think he certainly offers something different to other strikers. He's tall, he's big, he can win a header, he can hold the ball up. You know, we don't really have a striker like him that we can call upon, so it's nice to see him playing and able to do that job. But he also proved that he's good with his feet, and, you know, he's very technically minded in the first goal, where after some good work to get us through the middle, Solanke lays it off to Mane, who finishes it well for 1-0.
It'll have to be Mane, because we haven't mentioned Salah was on the bench. So you might have thought who's going to score every goals, but yeah, like you say, a great bit of work from the two of them. I'm really struggling to remember this game, if I'm honest, Matt. I don't know why. It was the most recent.
Can I just say, this is exactly what you did for Stoke at home last season. What is wrong with you?
What is it about Stoke at home?
No, just Stoke generally.
And you know what? This is the archetypal fixture. This is a Wednesday against Stoke. This is, you know, what we always say. Can they do it on a windy Wednesday in Stoke? This was exactly. Like, how often do you actually end up playing Stoke in midweek? I can't even remember it happening.
No, well, it's happening here, mate, and, you know, we did play the game, so better get your thinking cap on, sir. Yeah, there was many chances throughout the first half. Stoke did look threatening. We didn't look entirely comfortable. Of course, Stoke filled with former Liverpool players, two of which were on the pitch here, Joe Allen and Peter Crouch, as well as Charlie Adam on the bench. So, yeah, very much a stomping ground for former players. But on around the 40-minute mark, Mignolet brings down Mami Biram Diouf just outside the box and only gets a yellow, controversially.
Yeah, and Mark Hughes wasn't particularly happy about that.
No, what do you think? You must be able to remember the incident. What do you think about it?
I can remember the incident. I can't visualise it in my mind at the moment. What was the justification for it only being a yellow? Because he was the last man.
They believe that Matip and Gomez were both around and were just ready to step in to make a challenge. That was the referee's interpretation. However, if you look at it, if Biram Diouf doesn't get fouled there, he's in with an open goal. Like, he's going to score. So yeah. He is last man. He has stopped a goal scoring opportunity. Mignolet has to go, and he doesn't.
I think it's hard to understand why it was only a yellow.
But it was very lucky indeed. Not many decisions that we get go our way with that level of fortune, but this was one of them.
Yeah. I think what goes around comes around, and we probably deserved a bit of refereeing luck along those lines. But it finished, 1-1 at half time, didn't it?
What did it finish? What did it finish at half time?
1-1. What is it? Yeah, 1-0. Did I say 1-1? Sorry, my brain is leaking out the side of my head.
But anyway, in the second half, Stoke, slightly aggrieved, did come at us quite well. Particularly the twosome Peter Crouch and Joe Allen, who I've mentioned, threatened us. But for once, substitutions actually ended up cementing the game for us.
Yeah. We had Milner come on for Oxlade-Chamberlain on the 67th minute. Solanke came off, which I guess was sort of inevitable. No shame in that for Mohamed Salah. And another thing that was inevitable was Mohamed Salah who kind of buried the Potters for good.
Incredible, what an incredible player. First, with 77 on the 77th, some great work from Mane to beat a defender on the right and get to the byline. Stands it up, and it's a brilliant volley from Salah. Hits it sweet as a nut on his left foot for 2. And 5 minutes later, after a poor defensive mistake, Salah's through, finishes it brilliantly. Two goals from the bench. It's 3-0, and Mo Salah is simply an astonishing player.
What's especially great about him is that he's an astonishing player without carrying us. Like, he scores a lot, but he's not carrying us. Because we've got people like Mane, who's doing fantastic work with the assists. We've got people like Firmino, we've got Coutinho still scoring. Salah has scored a lot in November, and he scored, I think that was his overall, 12 goals in the Premier League, 17 overall. which is quite impressive given that he didn't even play in the League Cup. So
end of November. Like, he's got 17, it's the end of November.
Yeah. I mean, when was the last time we had a player score 17 in a season?
Suarez.
But if you look... Yeah, exactly. And that was almost 4 years ago we left him. If you look at our 6 games in November then, because overall I think we can call November a success despite some quite disappointing results.
Unbeaten,
and in all but one of the games we scored 3 goals.
Or
at
more.
least.
Yeah, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so that's
17 goals in the month.
Yeah. Your maths is quicker than mine.
Thank you.
17. And we conceded 5. Before we move on, I would just like to give a special shout out to a certain someone, which is Joe Gomez. Because what we didn't mention was that between the West Ham game and the Southampton game, there was an international break. England didn't have anything riding on it. It was the World Cup playoffs. It was the final round of World Cup qualifying for the African nations. In fact, Sadio Mane helped Senegal to a first World Cup since 2002. So congratulations to them. But Joe Gomez made his England debut on Friday night against Germany, and then the next game put in a man of the match performance on his first ever start against Brazil for a game in which he basically kept Neymar in his pocket the whole game.
He's some talent, isn't he, Joe Gomez?
He is, and considering the bad luck he's had with injuries, for him to still be, because Liverpool's recent history is littered with promising defenders who have had bad injuries and just never recovered. Stephen Warnock, Martin Kelly, John Flanagan, most recently, defenders that you think, God, they could be here for years. They get a really bad injury, and they just are never the same again. And Gomez has come back and he's better than he was in that first kind of few months when we signed him from Charlton in 2015. And the world's most expensive footballer ever, and he just couldn't get anywhere against Joe Gomez.
There you go. It was impressive.
Although I don't know if you read this, you get a bottle of champagne for when you're man of the match,
right?
And as he was coming into the players' lounge at the end of the game, having got changed, and obviously he had his stuff with him, and he had his wash bag and all that, and he was having to sort of carry the bottle of champagne in his arm rather than in his hand, and he managed to drop it.
Oh no!
And his man of the match champagne in his first ever start for England against Brazil at Wembley, and he managed to drop it on the floor within minutes of receiving it.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't drink, but apparently his family were quite annoyed.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Oh dear, funny. Solanke made his debut for England as well, I think, in that game.
Yes, he did. Yeah, of course he did. In that game as well, yeah. He actually had a chance to win it at the end, but he sort of took one too many touches. But still, and again, Alberto Moreno for a first appearance for Spain for about 3.5 years.
Yeah, that was weird. There were 6 Liverpool or former Liverpool players in the Spanish squad, some of which you'd never have seen coming.
Well, I mean, you had Moreno, obviously, who has played for Spain before but not for years. Your kind of obvious ones like Reina, and there was another quite obvious one in there. And then you had Iago Aspas, who has actually carved out quite a good international career for himself over the last year or so. Suso, who made his international debut this month, and Luis Alberto.
Yeah, that's the one that really caught me out.
Who is at Lazio now, I think?
Right.
And he's, I mean, all these players who were just kind of synonymous with failure, having a great kind of international career. Alberto and Aspas. What's going on? Maybe we were too harsh on them.
Yeah, I always said Luis Alberto never got the chance he should have had at our club.
No, he didn't. Aspas probably did. It does mean there's very few players in our squad that have played international football there.
Certainly in the first team squad, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually, I think, in our, being what we might call generously the first team, and certainly players that play for the first team, I think there's only 4 that have never played senior international football.
Wow. Can you name them? There you go. Okay, Loris Karius is one.
Yes, and I was really surprised when I found that out. I thought he would have. I mean, obviously, the thing is, Germany have got such good goalkeepers that you're going to have to be exceptional to get a sniff in there, and he's not. And then there's only, I think, 3 other players that have played for our first team that haven't played senior international football.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Alexander-Arnold is one.
Yep, I'm going to say... I'm just going to count through my head now. I'm just trying to think. They're not going to be regular starters, are they, to be fair?
Oh, not at all.
Don't know, name the other 2?
Ovi Ajaria. I
wouldn't have said that, yep.
Yeah, and I mean, he's more regular than the only other one to have actually played for Liverpool, but not for England. It's Cameron Brannigan.
Well, there you go.
There we go. And let's be honest, I'd be very surprised if he did.
Yeah, so would I. So, Owen, let's move on to our regular feature that we're doing throughout the course of this season. It's our Despicable 11.
So, remind us how this works, Matt.
So, we take 25 years of Premier League history and all the players that featured for Liverpool throughout it, and we try and find the worst of the worst by picking our Despicable 11. We're going through shirt numbers one by one. So far, we've got our goalkeeper at number 1, which was Adam Bogdan, of course. Number 2 at right back is Philip Dagan, Owen's favourite player. And at number 3, arguably the worst player ever to play for Liverpool in the Premier League, certainly according to many a review you'll see, is Paul Konchesky. Many
a review, but not that of his mother.
No, indeed. But today, we are moving into the midfield. We're not going to go for 2 defenders as 4 and 5. That's going to be 5 and 6 next month. So this time, we are going to go to a central midfield position. We're going to pick a central midfielder. And not necessarily a defensive one, maybe a more defensive-minded one. But there's a bit of a broad rubric here. So a typical defensive midfielder, like maybe Javier Mascherano, could go in this category. But also an all-round central midfielder, so maybe Xabi Alonso. Of course, neither of them would appear here, but that's the sort of players we're considering now.
Yes. You'd have to say Mascherano or Alonso in there would be a gross miscarriage of justice, but would at least improve the team quite drastically.
Indeed. But maybe one of the players we're selecting today might do.
Well, true. Who is your first nomination, sir?
The one that first stuck out to me was Alberto Aquilani.
Ah, yes.
Alberto Aquilani signed with a great reputation as a developing international midfielder with Italy. We signed him in August 2009 from Roma as a replacement to Xabi Alonso, who'd just left Real Madrid. The problem with this was we signed him, in fact, despite the fact he hadn't played for 5 months with injury. He had an ankle problem. And that kind of carried through his entire Liverpool career. I mean, apart from the fact it's a bit of a poison chalice anyway to try and replace one of the most high-quality players we've ever had. Interesting fact on that, though, we actually signed Aquilani as a second choice. Do you know who Benitez's first choice was for this signing?
Am I right in thinking it was Gareth Barry?
It was Gareth Barry. I mean...
who we joke, but he has recently made... the record of the most Premier League appearances ever.
Well played to you, Gareth.
He's actually he's a player I really rate. I think we'd have been much better off with Gareth Barry.
Certainly than Alberto Aquilani, who he didn't have a terrible season during 09-10, but very much in and out the side. He was rarely fit. He kind of got fit for a while, and I mean he got 2 goals and 6 assists despite limited opportunities, which actually wasn't too bad. He just never looked good enough, and he was always injured. Like, signing someone with such an injury problems anyway, it was never ever going to work out. And after that season, he just basically disappeared, because he then went on loan. So he spent 1 season with us and then 2 seasons out on loan. Firstly to Juventus and then to AC Milan.
It's I think, like you say, what was it? 6 assists and 2 goals. That's not a bad return for a defensive midfielder.
But
it's a terrible return as a replacement for Xabi Alonso.
And the fact that he then spent 2 seasons out on loan and then was sold to Fiorentina. Now, we signed him for a fee of 17 million plus.
I mean, and let's point out that in those days, 17 million plus was a lot of money.
It was.
Do you know what I mean? That was like a big signing for us. We sold him for what, 5 million?
Diddly squat.
We didn't get anything for him.
Nope, so let him go on a free to Fiorentina.
Oh, God.
So
where is he these days?
I think he's still playing. I think he's at Las Palmas, the last I read, which I think I think that's where he's ended up.
I'm just looking now. He was at Sporting Lisbon last time I remember. He's been at 3 different clubs since then.
Christ.
He went to Pescara, Sassuolo on loan from Pescara, Sassuolo, and then Las Palmas.
Yeah, there you go. But it's just, Alberto Aquilani for me was a player who just never settled and was never fit enough really to get a place in the side. He struggled with the pace in the fight of the English league, and you could tell that he was too brittle and made of glass, and he was just never going to be good enough to replace Alonso. It's actually, the more you think about Aquilani, the more a completely pointless signing it was.
I think you're being almost too complimentary. I think when you say he just wasn't fit enough, he just wasn't good enough.
No.
He just wasn't as, as a bit of a kind of... I think we were told he was really good because we were signing him to replace Alonso and we had to believe it, but he just was, he wasn't a sort of European class player. He was just substandard. And I mean, he had one really good game in the Europa League semi-final. I don't know if you remember that in 2010.
Yeah, against Atletico.
Yeah, but and that was probably his best ever performance in a red shirt. But what I find weird is that he played a lot in pre-season.
Mm.
In in 2011, he was still playing pre-season football with us. You know what I mean? And Kenny Dalglish, and it seems weird to think that Kenny Dalglish was manager by this point when he was signed under Benitez, but that's how long he sort of hung around for, despite clearly not having a future with us. And Dalglish played him against Guangdong Sunray Cave. The mighty Guangdong Sunray Cave. And
right.
That was about his level, I think. But
yeah, it's so bizarre. He never played. He never fit. Never played. It just doesn't. It made no sense, and I think he's well worth considering to put in our number 4 position.
Yeah, and I think especially given who he was replacing, it just adds insult to any injury or injuries.
Yeah.
In his case.
Plural.
Well, I'm going to go for a player of a certain similar kind of period for my first nomination. This is another player who we kind of bought, and he came with a sort of pedigree attached, and we thought, actually, this could constitute quite a big signing. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Christian Poulsen.
Ah, good. I'm glad you brought him up.
Christian Poulsen, who actually, it's him playing for Liverpool almost doesn't feel like it happened.
No, you're right.
Not just because he was only here a year, but that whole kind of that first half of the 2010-11 season feels like a bad dream. Roy Hodgson, Christian Poulsen, Milan Jovanovic, Danny Wilson, like David Amu.
The more you list it, I mean, we could make an entire 11 of terrible signings, all by Roy Hodgson.
Well, yeah. Like, it was just... Who else was there that year?
Joe Cole.
Joe Cole. I mean, a couple of them turned out to be quite good players, like people like Raul Morales. But there was Poulsen and there was someone else. Maybe it was Jovanovic. But just, like, to look back now and think that... What it reminds me of is, like, when you watch The Simpsons, and you watch them, like, loads of, really great episodes of Simpsons, and then you go back and you watch, like, the first series, and you think, oh my god, the animation on this is dreadful. Like, the characters don't even look the same, do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, they don't sound the same, their voices are different, they look different, and it's almost like so long, and it's, it's the same characters, and it's the same series, but it feels like so long ago and just so, like, kind of anomalous with what you now know as fact and the present, but it's almost like it's not real.
Yeah.
And I feel the same about looking at Liverpool now of Mane and Firmino and Coutinho and all that, and going back and looking at a time our big summer signing was Christian Poulsen.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And like I said, he had a real good pedigree. He played for Schalke, he played for Juventus, he played for Sevilla. Like, I remember, actually when we signed him, I thought, oh, that's a real statement of intent, signing Christian Poulsen.
God, that sounds so embarrassing when you say that.
I know, and we got him for it was a good deal. We only paid $4.5 million for him, but he just for a player who came sort of in promising like kind of bit of skill and flair, and came from Juventus, he just looked turgid, uninspiring, like clueless. He was just like, I think if he was just the Roy Hodgson era in a player, I think.
Well, it's funny because actually he got his break under Roy Hodgson when Hodgson was managing Copenhagen.
Oh, of course he did, yeah.
In 2000, it was actually Roy knew him and gave him his big break, and so it was kind of a 10 years later reuniting at Liverpool. What's interesting about it, as you say, he had such a good reputation, but when he'd gone to Juventus, he'd start to go off the boil, which is why we got him so cheap. And apparently he was good friends with Danny Agger, obviously at our club at the time. And Agger kind of warned him before he came, you've got to be ready for the Premier League. Explains a lot harder, a lot faster than the Italian league, a lot more intense. And I think the line is something like, you can't just go around drinking lattes, right? Right. And that's kind of sums up how he played. Slow, inept, more interested in fouling, terrible at his job as a cover for defensive midfielder. It was just, you're right, it was so bizarre.
I mean, he just never, he was the archetypal Roy Hodgson player for us, and just that 6 months of just kind of, it just, Konchesky, that's the other one I was going to say. Milan Jovanovic, Christian Poulsen, Paul Konchesky, and that was Liverpool. And I just can't believe that was Liverpool, do you know what I mean? That's like a bad transfer window for Charlton, do you know what I mean?
Absolute nightmare, man.
And it's just, and I think I said the same thing about Konchesky last year, but he does just seem to sum up, he does just seem to personify a bad period for our club. Not just for team, but for our club, we nearly went bust. And when Hodgson was sacked and Dalglish came in, he played a few games, but he just didn't really sort of make much of an impact again. And he was and this again says something. This will sound harsh, but if I say this kind of this illustrates Christian Poulsen's level. He was held out of the side by Jay Spearing.
Very true.
Who again I kind of keep forgetting about, but what's interesting is that when we sold him at the end of the season, after just over a year on the books, he went to Evian, the League One side, as in Ligue 1, the French top flight, rather than League One, which was actually more like his level. And he became only the second player in the history of football to play in all 5 of the big leagues, which is Bundesliga, the Premier League, Serie A, Ligue 1, and La Liga. The only other one was Florin Raduccio.
He's a Romanian player, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, played for West Ham, as well as AC Milan, Espanyol, Stuttgart, and Monaco.
There you go. But as you say, he joined Evian, who were a promoted side from the second tier of French football. So you're right. It kind of demonstrates that, says all about his quality. Eventually joined Ajax. Is he retired now? Is he still at Ajax?
He's retired now, yeah. He retired 2 years ago, but he went back to Copenhagen, I think, after a year at Ajax. But
my next nomination, it's not a player I dislike, but I think it has to be tarnished with something of the same brush as his counterpart when he signed for us. It's Salif Diao. Now, let me justify why. He was signed at the same time as El Hadji Diouf, who, of course, is disliked by pretty much everyone. And will almost certainly be seen in one of these debates at a later time. He signed at the same time from this exciting 2002 Senegal squad, who'd beaten France at the World Cup and were really exciting and interesting. He was part of that kind of group. We're excited to get those players in, but it just wasn't very good. Gerrard in his book, he released a couple of years ago, said that within a week he knew that Salif Diao just wasn't good enough for Liverpool. To be fair, he didn't have a bad time at first. He scored twice. quite early on, and that's despite the fact that his previous 2 clubs in France he hadn't scored in 77 appearances. The thing with Salif Diao that kind of irked me a bit was the fact that everyone who'd worked with him kind of raved about him. The Senegal managers in France, Gerard Houllier genuinely described him as the new Patrick Vieira. Whoops.
Wow.
Yeah, not ideal. He after first season, he spent 2 more seasons with us, but only really played 21 times through various injuries and just generally being left out of the side. But he actually spent the rest of his playing career in England, interestingly, because he left to go to Birmingham, and then eventually ended up at Portsmouth and finally Stoke. He stayed there for a long time, by the way, at Stoke.
He was at Stoke for a few years.
Yeah, played at right back quite a lot, if I remember.
He was about 5 years. He was at Stoke, I think. Did he? I have a feeling he retired on the same day as Jamie Carragher.
Possibly did, yeah. Maybe he did. Yeah, and now he does a lot of charity work and things back in his hometown of Senegal, back in his home country.
His hometown of Senegal?
His hometown in Senegal.
Right, okay,
we like him. We like Salif Diao. He's got a great song on the cup. But he was just, like the first 2, it was just never good enough for us. And sadly, the inevitable happened and he just disappeared out of sight to be forgotten.
Although, quite amusingly, we've got quite a good story about Salif Diao, haven't we?
We have. Do you want to explain?
Well, we saw him play at Anfield, which isn't unusual because obviously he played for Liverpool for a couple of years. But we saw him play at Anfield as part of a Liverpool Legends side.
So bizarre.
It was Liverpool Legends versus Liverpool International Legends to raise money for the Hillsborough Family Support Group. And similar charities in 2014, Easter Monday in 2014, which, as you remember, was just as we were about to win the title that never was. And hilariously, amongst other fantastic players like Hippier and I think Yari Littmanen and all of that, Salif Diao was in the Liverpool International Legends side, alongside Bruno Cheroux, who is the new Zidane, Matt, as you know.
As we know. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, John Bishop.
And John Bishop, yeah. I think Russell Howard as well, I think, might have come on.
No, he wasn't. I don't think he was playing. John Bishop was the only comedian in the game.
Russell Howard took a penalty at half-time, that was it.
That's right, yeah. John Bishop took a penalty in the game and missed it.
Yeah. Did Salif Diao score?
No, Bruno Cheroux scored. Salif Diao took a corner. We all cheered when he turned up.
That's right, yeah. Oh, it was a good corner though, wasn't it?
It was a quality delivery.
It was a really good corner. One of the best corners of his career, I think.
One of the best corners I've ever watched of all the corners I saw at Anfield in that game.
Definitely. And yeah, I mean, the new Vieira and the new Zidane in one game. It was wonderful.
Amazing. Salif Diao, I do like him, but I think he has to go here.
Well, I'm going to throw in another nomination, and then this will put the cat among the pigeons. Because this guy is truly awful. Jean-Michel Ferry was Gerard Houlier's first ever signing at the club. After, obviously, Gerard Houllier became our manager as joint manager with Roy Evans. After Roy Evans left, this was Houlier's first solo signing. He arrived from Istanbulspor in 1998, and by coincidence, a bit like one of our other nominations, Alberto Aquilani, he arrived when he was injured, which meant that he didn't make his debut for another 3 months. He came on for Paul Ince. We lost 2-1 to Chelsea. He then didn't play until the second to last game of the season, where we lost to Sheffield Wednesday. And that was it. That was his entire Liverpool career.
Amazing.
2 games, both of which we lost. And then we sold him to Sochaux,
I think.
Sochaux. But I'm not so sure about him. Well, actually, he only played another 20 times in his entire career, and then he retired in 2000.
Amazing.
But he did actually play 5 times for the French national team. There's very little to say about him.
Other than he was just a bit rubbish.
Yeah, he was just rubbish. He was just like, I mean, have we ever had a good first signing?
I mean, I don't know. Well, who was Klopp's first signing? Was it Marco Grujic was technically his first signing?
Yeah. I mean, Brendan Rodgers was Fabio Barini.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it doesn't matter who Roy Hodgson's was because they were all awful. I mean, Benitez had Hosemi.
Did Dalglish have Henderson?
No, Dalglish would have had someone in January, wouldn't he? Dalglish would have had... Oh, God, Dalglish might have had Suarez, actually. Oh, I'm going to look this up now. I think his first two signings were Carroll and Suarez, but I can't remember who signed first.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, Luis Suarez.
And Andy Carroll in the same day.
Yeah, only by a few hours, I think, was Suarez, but...
I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's, I think he is the exception that proves the rule, because I think Roy Evans' first signing was, someone rubbish as well. Mark Gale, who just... Have we got anything to say about Mark Gale?
He's called Mark.
Exactly, that's his one distinction. Graham Souness was Mark right, actually. Graham Souness was probably the last good one before Suarez, where they actually turned out to be decent. You know, he captained us to a FA Cup victory. But,
the irony being he was a terrible manager.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean...
More on that later, by the way.
Shankly's never even played for us. Sammy Reed, the first player Bill Shankly bought, just nobody knows what happened to him. He just never actually played a game for us.
Weird.
So yeah, first player Julio ever bought, and that is literally the most remarkable thing about him because he's
just rubbish. Well, I've got a couple more nominations, and this next one might surprise you, but I'm going to nominate him for a couple of very distinct reasons. It's Nuri Sahin.
Oh, that's okay.
Now he is he typified central midfielder, and in fact, one of the reasons he eventually left the club was he complained that he was being played out of position in a more forward role than the typical central midfield role he liked. It was a very weird signing and a very weird kind of period generally, and I need to explain kind of what happened. Just a brief history on him. He was at the time the youngest player ever to score and appear in the Bundesliga at just 16 when he was playing for Dortmund in 2005. Of course, meaning he stayed at Dortmund for another 6 years, meaning he played under Klopp, interestingly, before going to Real Madrid in 2011. But he struggled with injury throughout his first year there and needed to get regular playing time. Now, he wanted to go to Arsenal to get that playing time, but we beat them to the punch, and he ended up signing for us. So we signed him on loan in 2012, and he didn't have a bad start, I guess. Scored a couple of goals, scored against Norwich, scored in the cup against West Brom. But after a few months, the loan deal was terminated again. And it was all very weird. He just sort of suddenly disappeared from the squad. He was, only occasionally on the bench. Didn't really know what was happening with him. It was almost like he just suddenly stopped existing for us. And it was only afterwards, after he returned, the termination of the loan happened. He went back to Real Madrid and then ended up going back on loan to his former club, Borussia Dortmund, for 18 months under Klopp again, where he was much happier. And apparently the whole sort of reason why he left, apart from the fact he sort of missed home in Germany, he basically just didn't want to play for us.
Really?
Yep. He never really wanted to come to Liverpool. He only did it because he had to, because he wanted to get game time. He didn't like our club, he didn't like playing for us, and he wanted to leave.
Wow.
And that's why I've nominated him in the Despicable 11.
That's harsh, man. That's...
Yeah, it's funny that, because we were quite excited about that signing. Signing a player from Real Madrid to work under Brendan Rodgers. It seemed really exciting, like a good, good sense of progress. We'd beaten Arsenal to his signing as well, which, considering they were in the Champions League and we weren't, that felt like a bit of a coup.
I feel quite hurt by that, to be honest, because I really like Nuri Sahin.
There you go. See, I had a very good reason why I nominated him.
Yeah, because he was good for us.
Well, he was for a bit, yeah.
Well, yeah, he only played for us for a bit. He was, he was good in his time, but...
But it was weird how he just sort of disappeared, wasn't it?
It was. A similar thing happened with Javi Manquillo, didn't it? We just kind of, we don't loan players in very often. And when we do, something weird always happens to them.
Never seems to work out, does it?
No.
Maybe Nicholas Anelka was the last one that worked?
Yeah, or, I mean, arguably maybe Paul Jones.
Long time ago now.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to give us one more nomination then.
Go ahead.
And this is a player I've got a lot of fondness for, but he was pretty ropey. It's Igor Bishkan.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, only on the basis that we nominated Jimmy Traore in the defenders category, and he was. I mean, I kind of, I imagine the two of them are really good friends. I don't know why. They probably don't even keep in touch, but they were probably our two worst players in the 2004-05 season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a player who wasn't a bad player, but just most fans felt was never up to Liverpool standards and got quite a lot of stick as a result. And in fairness, he wasn't up to Liverpool standards, but he did do. And I'm defending him against my own nomination now, but he did do quite a good job for us. He played. I played nearly 100 games for us, if not over 100. He scored 3 goals in total.
Nice.
Which, including 2 in that 04-05 season. But he won the Champions League with us. Do you know what I mean?
He helped us on the run into the final.
I mean, and actually, at that crazy season, he was one of our. In some of those games, he was one of our greatest players. It was some of the best games he ever played in his career. Were in that 2004-05 season. Against Bayern Leverkusen, Juventus, Chelsea. He was pivotal.
Remember, he also played defensive midfielder and centre back, so he covered both positions.
Yeah, he was like.
You nominated him. Why are you so confused?
Only because he was a defensive midfielder who had a really bad reputation for not being very good. But he did have some redeeming features. And I felt he deserved a mention in terms of bad players, but he also, he's not Aquilani kind of Michel Ferry level. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
You were saying how much you like Salif Diao.
Yeah, I liked him, but Salif Diao was worse than Bishkan.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I think Bishkan was probably a worse player than Aquilani. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly, yeah. We never saw Aquilani, so we don't know.
No, true. Like, in terms of just skill, he was nowhere near. It was like comparing a cart horse to a
noble steed.
Noble steed. I realise then I don't know enough sort of types of horse. one of those nice ones that does dressage. But, a dressage horse. But yeah, I'm going to throw him in there.
Okay.
Because he was a bit crap.
But
in a kind of... But in the sort of crap that actually... It didn't matter in 2004-05 because he's got a Champions League winners medal and he was part of our history now. He's part of our mythology and that's what that season did. It turned average players into heroes.
It did.
And that's what I loved about it.
Well,
there we are.
I've got one more nomination, and it's a bit of a 1-2 punch. But you probably won't have heard of him, Owen, or if you have, only in vague terms. This is a player by the name of Istvan Kozma.
Oh yeah, Hungarian player.
Yes, indeed. Signed in 1992, the first year of the Premier League. So we are going right back, and of course that is not literally to right back, but going back to the start.
Midfielders.
Yeah, defensive midfielders. But we are, of course, we've got to consider all eras, and I think this is a really, really good shout for this nomination. There's a couple of reasons why. He arrived from Dunfermline in 1992, where he's considered something of a legend. If you talk to people in Dunfermline about Kozma, he is one of their all-time great players. Holding midfielder, but also, thrilled and excited them, apparently. I don't know how good Scottish football was back then. I'm not imagining it was super great, but there we go. He was signed under Graham Sounness to kind of bolster our midfield, but only ended up playing 6 games for us. That was over 2 seasons. So, well, a season and a half, technically. So it was clear from the outset that Sounness signed a real stinker. And knew very early on he'd taken a punt on somebody who was simply no way near up to it. To typify that, his best game for us, in which he scored twice, the only 2 goals he ever scored for us, was in a cup game against third-tier Chesterfield, which was pretty much his level. In fact, so much so that a year later, he was out again. He went over back to Hungary to a club beginning with a letter U that I can't pronounce and won't do for the sake of being insulting to people from Hungary. But a club he played for 4 times in his career. Bit bizarre.
Bushpest.
Yeah, 4 times he played for them in various stints. He was total and utter garbage. It's as simple as that. But why do I think he's worth this nomination? There are 2 reasons. One, he is so irrelevant to Liverpool Football Club that I don't know if you know this, but most players who've played for Liverpool have like a page on the LFC website,
Right.
like a little history page or just like a thing that says you played for us. His has been deleted.
Really?
Yep, it doesn't exist. There is no mention of Istvan Kozma anywhere on the Liverpool Football Club website. That's how irrelevant he was. But the second one, and this is going to be a real surprise to you, Michel Platini, who knew Graham Souness quite well when Graham Souness was in charge of our club, they're having a chat with him one day, and Graham Souness was looking for a sort of midfielder, a sort of all-round central midfielder player. Michel Platini suggested somebody who liked Liverpool and wanted to play for Liverpool, and would go on to be one of the greatest players of his generation. Do you know who that was, Owen?
It was Zidane, was it?
It was Eric Catona.
Oh, of course.
Incredibly, Eric Catona, who would go on to sign for Man United and be one of their greatest players, was originally offered to Graham Souness at Liverpool, being told he wanted to join our club and play for us. Souness instead decided to sign Istvan Kozma.
Wow.
And that is, I mean, you want a definition of how well Souness dismantled Liverpool's great reputation of the 80s single-handedly. Istvan Kozma is the very definition of that.
That's quite a compelling argument to make him the worst. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the fact that Istvan Kozma or Eric Cantona. Just think what would happen if we'd assigned him. And Graham Souness decided, no, I'd rather have this Hungarian nonsense.
I think conversely, where Man United would be if they signed Kozma instead of Cantona.
Exactly.
Blimey.
Incredible story, right?
Yeah. That's like sliding doors.
Yeah, but exactly. So yeah, that's why Istvan Kozma has to go in here, and I think he's a real big shout.
Okay, so that gives us what, 7 nominations?
7 nominations, yeah.
So I think we can take out Salif Diao.
Okay.
I think we can take out Bishkan.
Good, happy with that.
Yeah, so we've got Aquilani, Kozma, Ferry,
Poulsen and Sahin.
I think take out Shaheen.
Yeah, despite the, slightly offensive nature of it wasn't a terrible player.
Yeah. Because we are sort of judging this primarily on how bad they were, aren't we?
Well, if we're doing it then Aquilani didn't actually ever play badly for us. He just never really played for us.
Yeah, I mean, Aquilani, mainly why I dislike Aquilani was because he was the new Alonso. And it's like kind of...
It's not his fault he's the new Alonso, though.
No, it's not, but it's like someone saying, oh, is it right if... I'll tell you what, I'll sell your car for you, but I'll buy you a new car just as good. And they take your Porsche and replace it with a Fiat Cinquecento.
But I tell you what, if you're going to compare Aquilani and Poulsen, I'd rather put Poulsen in.
Yeah, I would.
So we have to eliminate Aquilani.
Okay, fair enough.
So that leaves Aquilani, Ferry and Kozma. Now I would drop Ferry just because he only played 2 games.
But that's because he was awful.
Yeah, but Kozma played like 6 games and he was just as awful, and he's got the Cantona story behind him as well.
I mean, the Cantona story is sort of what's good about the Aquilani story as well, do you know what I mean? In that kind of you thought we were getting compared to what we could have had, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's very different. Whereas Kozma, we signed him instead of somebody else. Aquilani, we were trying to replace somebody else. So Kozma's worse. Kozma is definitely worse.
I mean, Poulsen was dreadful.
He was dreadful, but then we've already done the Hodgson thing, do you know what I mean? We've already kind of represented the... And we'll probably have to again, with many more players coming up.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget Milan Jovanovic has not been mentioned yet.
Well, no, but he's a striker.
I know, but that's what I mean. We'll have plenty more chances to denigrate Roy Hodgson. Alright, yeah, no, I'm convinced. Istvan Kozma.
Istvan Kozma, the definition of Souness' dismantling of Liverpool Football Club, and a very early reputation of the Premier League, which is nice, of course.
Yeah, it's good to have a kind of... So what's that now? We've like Konchesky was 2011-ish, 2010, 2011. Kozma was right at the beginning, 92.
Yep.
Who was right back?
Dagan, of course. 2000
Of course, it was again sort of 2008 to 2011 sort of era.
Yeah.
Late Benitez, and sort of Rodgers, Klopp era for Bogdan.
Yeah. So we're trying to get a good spread, and it's nice to get someone in. And Yeah, sadly, Istvan Kozma was simply a terrible player and things could have been so different.
We've not had many from the sort of Julie Benitez era yet, have we?
No, but there's plenty more to come, Owen.
There is indeed.
And that will include next month's podcast, where it's a double-headed special.
Ooh, for central defenders.
We're going to do both central because of the maths, in that we do 10 podcasts a year and there's 11 numbers to get through. We kind of felt we could pile both centre backs in together. So we're going to have a joint centre back party. So I mean, there's plenty of options. Let's be honest, Owen.
Yes, there are.
So yeah, we'll pick our centre backs for Despicable 11.
And that's for Despicable 11 for November. Thank you very much. But you know what we've got now, Matt? We've got 9 former Liverpool players. We've got 9 current Liverpool players. We can only have 1 winner. These 18 players will face off to the death, or at least quite severely injured, to work out who is the last Liverpool man standing, as they go face to face, fist to fist and toe to toe in mortal, dirty, ugly combat to decide who is our last man standing. Matt, are you excited?
I'm very excited. I can't wait to see this or listen to this happen.
I mean, I've no idea how this is going to work, but we thought we'd give it a go. Basically, it is a kind of variation on that who would win in a fight between, but with Liverpool players past and present. As I say, we've got 9 of each here. They've been randomly drawn according to a particular seeding process, and yeah, we're basically just gonna it's a bit like, what was that game? The Time Commanders, was it on BBC Two?
Yes.
It's going to be sort of like that. We're just going to work out who'd win if they all had a fight in a pub. So we've got six opening rounds of 3 players each, a 3-way fight, of which will be 1 winner. We'll then obviously have I can't do the maths, but then that 1 winner will go in another winner. They will then go into another head-to-head, and then it will end up with a 3-man brawl to decide the ultimate champion.
I've been describing the rules of the game eloquently there.
It will make sense as we go along. Matt, are you ready to work out who our first champion is?
Yes, bring it on, Owen.
Who would win in a 3-man brawl between Joel Matip, Alberto Moreno, and Alan Hansen?
Oh, okay.
Now we're talking generally at the peak of their prowess, so rather than 2 men in their 20s beating up a 60-year-old.
I mean, the obvious one is Hansen, right?
Well, you say that, is it?
Because I think Matip's too gentle, and Alberto Moreno, I mean, he'd give it a go, but he'd let himself down despite showing improvement. Whereas Hansen's one of the toughest players we've ever had. He
is, but Moreno's very quick.
So what? He'd run away and around him.
Yeah, and he could get around. Hansen was great, but he was quite stationary. He was one of those really good defenders who's just always in front of you. It doesn't matter, you never really see him moving, but he's just always in front of the attacker.
Yeah, but the thing with Hansen, what I would say about him is not only would he be aggressive and win the fight, but he'd also be able to talk you down with great lines about how you never win anything with kids. And it's absolutely terrible, the performance of the other two. That would denigrate their egos as well as their physical prowess.
Diabolical, yeah. Moreno is diabolical, and that would knock his self-confidence, I think. You're right. So
we know that Moreno has the ego, and Matip he's for me, Matip's more of a gentle giant. Do you know what I mean?
But he is a giant. He's got a height advantage. How could he use that against Hansen, do you think? Could he not kind of lean in with the elbows and squish him from above?
You pick him up and spin him around like a basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Hansen could take that. Whereas if Matip was battered by a Scottish man with a club, I can't see him getting back from that.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Is that Hansen's Scottish?
He has a fight running through his veins.
The Scottish, if they excel at anything, and let's not forget it isn't football, but if they excel at anything, it would be fighting in pubs.
Yeah, so I think it has to be Hansen.
Hansen, okay. Hansen goes through. We're gonna whiz through these relatively quickly because we've got a lot of fights to get through. Next up, So it's always 2 against 1 in terms of a previous current balance.
Right.
We've got Steven Gerrard, hometown pride, Michael Owen, and little James Milner.
Wow. Okay. Again, instinctively Gerrard, I think.
Yeah.
Don't know what you think.
Well, Michael Owen is now quite good at horse racing.
What, so he'd ride his horse in?
What?
He'd ride a horse in?
He'd ride a horse in and just, whip them. I don't know.
Getting trampled by a horse would hurt.
Yeah. It'd be like a kind of cavalry charge, like the Battle of Orgreave.
The thing is, Steven Gerrard would just yell at you, and you'd cower in fear. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, let's not forget that Steven Gerrard was great at 2-footed tackles. Do you know what I mean? He got sent off quite a lot.
He did. The only thing I would worry about Gerrard is keeping his balance. He was known to fall over quite easily.
Well, this is it. Milner's quite solid. Could Milner just stay on the sidelines and then take advantage when sort of Gerrard takes out Michael Owen, but then can't get up again?
Yeah, Milner's quite tactical, I think. But the thing is, in a fight in a pub, that doesn't work. You can't be really that tactical. It's war.
He's very precise though. He's good at penalties, isn't he, Milner? So he might only get one punch, but he knows exactly where to land it. Back of the neck and they're down.
Unfortunately, your point is denigrated by the fact he's missed 2 penalties in a row for us. So I think he's out.
That's a good point.
So, and I think Michael Owen's too small. Do you know what I mean? He's just too small. He would get overwhelmed by Gerrard's sort of prowess, and then Steven Gerrard could literally kick Michael Owen, and he'd fly into the back of the net from about 40 yards. Yeah,
a sort of volley in the 96th minute.
Yeah.
So are we saying about Steven Gerrard then?
Yeah, the oldies are winning it so far.
They are. This is a damning indictment of our current squad.
Hardly a surprise, mate.
So it's a completely random draw, other than to say that it would be 2-1 and 2-1 in terms of 2 current, 1 former, 2 former, 1 current.
Mixing it up a bit,
etc. So random computer generated fixture calculating fight predicting thing. For our next bout, we got Mohamed Salah, Jamie Carragher, and Emre Can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because Carragher's the automatic assumption, but I think Can could really dust someone up if he wanted to.
Well, yeah, I think Can's got a kind of German-Turkish background. Both of those countries are renowned for being a bit fighty. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, don't take many prisoners. Oh wow, actually Germany took quite a lot of prisoners.
Yeah, let's move on from that quickly.
Yeah. Christ. So.
Yeah, I mean Salah will be super quick, but I think he's a tough little cookie. But I mean, if Jamie Carragher's in your face, mate, you're in trouble.
We've never had to see Salah in a physical situation. Do you know what I mean? He's untested
because he runs away from them. Quite literally, he would run away and no one would catch him. But it means he wouldn't win in a pub fight.
He can counterattack.
He can counterattack well. That is very true. But the thing is, the one punch would be enough. And I think Carragher or Can would both dust him up. And the reason I'd go for Carragher over Can is I think Can would be more worried about his hair.
Yeah, I think, and his looks. He wouldn't want to let down his fans.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'd be very disappointed to see him with a black eye and a runny nose.
A runny nose?
Like a bloody nose. But
bloody nose, right.
Yeah.
I thought you just meant you just got a bit of a cold.
Well, that would also be bad.
I mean, I think we're leaning towards saying Carragher would win this, aren't we?
Well, I think the problem is we've had 3 of the hardest men in Liverpool history so far. So.
Well, yeah, it's but that's football, isn't it? Okay, well let's see who's going to be facing Carragher in the quarterfinals then. In a three-way brawl between Jerzy Dudek, Dejan Lovren, and Craig Bellamy. Ooh,
okay, that's a tough one.
Again, Bellamy, quite a hard man. Do you know what I mean? Bellamy's actually got genuine real life pub fight experience, I think.
Yeah, he has. And I think he loves golf, so he'd probably bring one of his golf bats with him. I don't know much about golf, but he'd probably,
Yeah, I can tell. It's the correct term is a golf racket.
Okay, cool, right. So he'd bring his golf set with him, and that would be very dangerous in that situation, The thing is, you want Lovren to, do well. The problem is you've always wanted Lovren to do well, and ultimately he would just let you down. I mean, he's very good at pushing. He's very good at pushing people, but
he is. But what I think is that if we've shown anything this season, it's that when attacks come, Lovren generally isn't there. So actually, he might be quite good at sort of dodging.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is he doesn't dodge much of the sort of friendly fire. So,
I think you have to question whether it's friendly fire if a man's swinging a golf club at you.
That's true.
That doesn't sound very friendly.
No, but what's Yurtsy doing in all this?
Well, I think he's stood there wobbling, isn't he? He's making himself quite, jelly-legged, which I think would actually be very distracting.
It would be, but the thing is, the problem with Yurtsy, I think, is the fact that he would ultimately slightly flatter to deceive, and it would only take one moment for him to be taken out by the golf club.
But I think he'd get back up again.
He probably would get back up, but
he had a torrid time. Do you remember that game against Man United with Diego Forlan? And yet in the League Cup final that season, he played a blinder. I think, and look at the Champions League final. I think actually Dudek would take a golf club to the back of the head, but he'd get back up again and he'd be shaking so much, half tactically, half because he's just been hit around the back of the head with a golf club. That I think that would be quite intimidating.
I guess so. I think this is the first fight that goes to points as opposed to a knockout finish.
I think Lovren might be out of it. I think it might be down to Bellamy, Dudek.
I think Bellamy's probably going to take it. As you said, he's got real life experience, so he's already knows what he needs to do to get through. So I think he wins on a points decision.
But he's Welsh.
Well, that's exactly my point.
But are the Welsh good at fighting?
Well, it doesn't matter. Craig Bellamy is.
That's true.
And he's got a golf club.
I suppose he spent a lot of time drinking with Robbie Savage as well.
That's very true. Yeah, it's got to be Bellamy.
Craig Bellamy goes through on points.
Right,
with
next.
The golf club. But out of 12 players so far, 4 ex-players have come through.
There we go. Well, it's suggesting something about the current squad.
Yeah.
No good in a bar fight.
Well, one of them is barely allowed into bars in this next trio. It's Ben Woodburn, Simon Mignolet, and Luis Suarez.
Oh, I think that's a gimme, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, Luis Suarez would just eat the competition.
But
Simon Mignolet's a pushover. Like he can't, every time there's people around him, he struggles to go anywhere. So he'd be gone.
Yeah, I think even Woodburn would turn on Mignolet. Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean, just for survival's sake, yeah, absolutely. And the problem is Suarez would run rings around everyone, and Woodburn has a bit of naivety. Do you know what I mean? Because he's still young.
But do you think Suarez would eat a young man like Ben Woodburn?
I mean, I wouldn't put anything past him. Unlike Mignolet, where you put everything past him. So
that's true. Blimey, this is a really damning indictment of our current squad. In
terms of a bar fight, yes, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe actually that's a good thing, but none of them would be any good fighting in pubs. Okay, so the final first round tie then is Gary McAllister, Philip Coutinho, and John Anarisa.
Oh, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, Gary McAllister is old, but he's also Scottish, and he played for Leeds.
It's true. He's got experience.
Yeah, he's a dark horse in this respect.
But the thing is, I think the one thing I'd say, Reece only has to get one strike off his left foot, and you're done. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget he broke a man's leg with a free kick.
Yeah, it's incredible.
In about 4 places.
Yeah, poor Alan Smith. Yeah, it was. I mean, all he has to do is get one shot off. It's the thing though. One thing he would say is Coutinho would be incredible at avoiding challenges. Incredible.
No, but he's also he's quite susceptible to a back injury, isn't he, Coutinho? Yeah,
and you do wonder where his offence is going to come from.
Yeah, and you can't help wondering if his heart's really in it sometimes.
No, that's very true. But
would he rather be fighting in a taverna in Spain?
In a bull ring in Spain.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think for me, if Coutinho's avoiding challenges but can't get any good attacks in himself, which is ironic. And you're looking at Mac versus Reece, but Mac's got the problem of age. I think he's a bit slower. And Reece, I mean, look at the tattoos on him. He would, he has such a thunderous left foot that
did he have a lot of tattoos?
He had a lot of tattoos. Yeah, John Arisa was tatted.
I know he had quite an enviable 6-pack.
Well, this is part of it as well. Gary Mack now, probably got a bit of a beer belly going on. Maybe 1 or 2 pints more than he needed to. I think it's John Arisa's to lose here.
Yeah. Okay, let's give it to Risa.
There you go.
Which throws up some very interesting next round ties. So first up then, it's Alan Hansen versus Steven Gerrard.
Oh, bloody hell.
And let's not forget, this is Alan Hansen in his prime.
This is getting serious now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's no more easy fights at this stage.
No, oof, I mean, I don't know where to begin. I mean, it's going to be a real slugfest, isn't it? Two people, continuing to throw punches, getting down, getting back up. Hansen may not have the movement, but he can withstand a lot of pressure. Gerrard will probably be more agile, but he's prone to making a mistake at the vital time.
He is. This is really hard.
This is the toughest fight yet. This is going to points without question. It's going to points.
Because Gerrard did actually punch someone in a pub, didn't he?
He did. We haven't mentioned that yet. Yes, he did. Yeah. I mean, he's got experience, which is all vital in this situation.
Yeah. I mean, these are two of, again, completely. It's funny the way the draw has turned out, but these are two of Liverpool's European Cup winning captains, and arguably two of our best ever captains.
And certainly two of our hardest ever players. So I mean, a decision's got to be made. I mean, it's going to go all the way here, but I mean, I'd say in his prime, Hansen could withstand more pressure than Gerrard could.
Yeah, I think.
Again, don't forget, Hansen is the gift of the gab as well, which Gerrard doesn't quite have the same level of.
We all know about that famous Gerrard slip that we've talked about, but don't forget that was that time after the FA Cup game against Luton where he was being interviewed and he fell over then as well.
Yeah, and it's important to know mistakes will cost you in a bar fight.
Yeah, they will, whether or not you've got experience. I think Alan Hansen's nicking this one.
Hansen on points.
I would call that a shock. Steven Gerrard knocked out in the semi-finals.
Yeah, well, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Hansen goes through to the final three-way. Okay, next up, another mouth-watering semi-final tie. Jamie Carragher versus Craig Bellamy.
Crikey. Well, I mean, they played together, so this is an opportunity for us to actually realise that. And I mean, of the two, who would be more in each other's faces? Actually, they'd be pretty much, again, it'd be much more aggressive, I think, than the previous fight. This would be real, like there'll be nails coming out now. There'll be, we've got a golf club already. I'm sure Carragher could find an equally dangerous implement to use.
Yeah, he's probably just got like a bit of wood that he's pulled off a park bench or something like that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Just on a walking bootle.
Yeah. I mean, he has got the freedom of the city, hasn't he, Jamie Carragher?
He has.
Which I imagine would not only give him access to quite a lot of weaponry, but he'd know all the best kind of bars to fight in.
Yeah, it'll be well hosted. This is for sure. Well connected. But again, this is going to turn ugly, I think.
I mean, he is well connected, isn't he? He knows people. He's proper kind of Liverpool mafia, Carragher.
So but Bellamy will always get your first strike in. That's the truth. He will, he will hit first and hit hard. And does how well can Carragher sort of recover and get his own? I think Carragher's probably better at the long game. But is he already down by the time Bellamy's got his attack in?
I mean, Bellamy played 2 spells with us as well. Let's not forget that. He kind of went away and came back again.
So you get a second win for sure.
Yeah. Whereas Carragher, by the end, he was quite old and creaky.
He was, but this is in his prime.
Yeah, true.
And Carragher in his prime, ain't no one messing with him.
Except Lucas Neal, who broke his leg for Blackburn.
Very true.
Yeah.
But Lucas isn't fighting here. Bellamy is.
True. Bellamy also played for Blackburn.
I think
Bellamy played at Blackburn with Lucas Neal.
That's very true. Yeah, that is very true. The thing that I would say though, Bellamy is quite small. And I know he can run around and he's well built, but the height advantage might just pay off here. If you want to get a good blow to the head, I think Carragher's more likely to get one. And
Carragher, let's not forget, he played on with he played on with a bandaged head a couple of times, so he can take a blow and stay standing. He got sent off a lot, so he knows how to hurt people. And there was that time that he threw a pound coin at someone in the stands during the game. Do you remember?
He can improvise on the spot.
Yeah. Do you remember that when an Arsenal player threw a pound coin at him during the game? So he picked it up and threw it back at them.
Arsenal fans, yeah.
Yeah, and got sent off for it.
Incredible. I mean, that shows the improvisation you need to win the fight like this.
Yeah. That's basically what would happen there. Is Bellamy would swing the golf club at him, Carragher would catch it and swing it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's an impressive feat in itself.
I think Carragher's got this in the bag, to be honest.
He has, yeah. I think just end of round knockout, I think.
Yeah. Jamie Carragher goes through to the grand final. And an interesting semi-final finish. Luis Suarez versus John Arnorisa.
Two very different fighting styles, I think, here.
Yeah, very different. You've got the sort of the flair player, but with the teeth. Or you've got, a very nicely toothed player who's got a six-pack and, quite ferocious, really good left foot.
Yeah, this is a kicking game versus a biting game. Now, who gets the better of it?
Well, I think, actually, if John Arnorisa can break a man's leg, think what he could do to a man's teeth.
It's very true, yeah, but Suarez always had the ability to... he was the only player I've ever seen in my life who goes through people. He wouldn't stop. Like, he would, doesn't matter how many times you'd knock him down, he'd get back up and he would do whatever it takes to get through you. Like, that determination is vital here. The thing with John Arnorisa, like, Suarez always had the extra trick. It didn't matter what you tried to do to stop him. Just ask John Ruddy. It didn't matter what you tried to do to stop him. It was never going to happen.
But do you remember that Champions League quarter-final when John Arnorisa scored that own goal quite late on? He
no.
kind of got his head down, and managed to... Despite he could have cleared it with his foot, but he put his head down and headed it into his own net, despite only being about a foot off the ground. He can get low. He can, I reckon he could headbutt Luis Suarez in the nads.
He probably could, but then Suarez, as we all know, is the sort of person who could do that irrespective of who or when it was.
He plays dirty, doesn't he, Suarez?
He does, but he gets away with it, and that's the most important thing. There ain't no sendings off here. Suarez never got sent off, despite probably deserving to on at least 4 or 5 occasions. He's probably the smartest fighter we've ever had.
And let's not forget John Arnorisa is from Norway, which is historically a very peaceable nation. Once you got rid of the Vikings, and the Oslo Accords of 1994, he's from a very pacifist heritage, John Arnorisa.
It's very true. And let us not forget, by the way, we may have mentioned this, but we should make it even more clear. Luis Suarez bites people. He actually bites people.
Yeah.
Like not even joking, he bites people.
I think Suarez is taking this, isn't he?
Suarez is. Unfortunately, John Arnorisa has done well to get to this stage, but he's slightly out of his depth here, I think.
Yeah, I think it was one fight too far for John Arnorisa, maybe.
Yeah, he did well. He did well to get through the group. He got an easy draw, but yeah, Luis Suarez definitely in the final.
Okay, so we've got a grand final then of Alan Hansen, Jamie Carragher, and Luis Suarez.
3 different eras of Liverpool, weirdly.
Yeah, which way is this gonna go?
This is fascinating. Obviously, only one can leave, so no time limit, no points here. It's all about getting that knockout blow. Well, I mean, it would start. I imagine this fight would start kind of quite tentatively. Luis Suarez would probably be the first one on the offensive, being the offensive type, whereas Carragher probably would stand things, and Hansen in his prime probably would just sit back, just wait for an opportunity. Take a blow or two if he had to.
I think Hansen's day was very different to Suarez's day. There was a lot more brutality, for want of a better word. Do you know what I mean? Like back then, tackles were tackles. I don't think Suarez could cope with some of Alan Hansen level tackles.
No, that is true. I think Suarez was probably overwhelmed by that. I mean, that's the thing. Suarez probably has one of the best defences that we've ever seen in the Liverpool bar fight battle royale we're hosting. But in terms of being able to withstand that level of challenge, and particularly when you consider that also Carragher's in the mix, and there's no one stopping it. He's also similarly of that same mould.
I think we got to consider that Carragher and Hansen would team up against Suarez. You know what I mean? The central defender's kind of code would kick in, and the two of them would collaborate to just crush him.
It's the only way you can stop Suarez, to be fair.
Yeah.
I
think Suarez is out.
Unfortunately, one challenge too many. Can't get his bite in on time because you bite Carragher at your own risk.
Exactly.
I think
bloody rabies.
Suarez is lying there valiantly but ultimately defeated. And now what?
Well, now it's down to Alan Hansen versus Jamie Carragher. We never thought it would come to this.
I'm now getting this sort of envisaged image of two of them sort of spinning round each other while Wild West music plays. Who's going to draw first? Who's going to draw blood first?
Yeah.
Hansen in his prime and Carragher in his prime. I mean, two different eras, but two very similar players. Two very similar players. Two very similar styles. Are they going to? It's a war of attrition now, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, what I think was Jamie Carragher could play in several different positions, so he can adapt.
A bit more versatile.
Yeah. And I think he could get you with a left hook, but he could also get you with a right hook and a headbutt.
Yeah, absolutely. However, on the other side, of course, Carragher had the ability to have an own goal and maybe make a mistake that leaves him vulnerable.
He did. That's true.
So he's left. I think he might get a few more attacks in. We're talking about Hansen, who is the tank of our fight. Really, he's the heavy in terms of not the most mobile, but can withstand an awful lot. And does Carragher's manoeuvrability just get him enough final blows, or does he leave himself exposed at the wrong moment?
I don't know. I think Carragher scored a lot of own goals, but he always kind of came back from it. Do you know what I mean?
He did bounce back a lot, yeah. But does the wisdom of experience ultimately beat the vibrancy of youth?
I don't think it does.
It's going to be a real close fight here. I think
also you've got to look at who they surround themselves with, and let's look at after they finished playing. Hansen was on the sofa with Mark Lawrenson, whereas Carragher was with Gary Neville, and he'd have got a lot of practice in punching that face. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a weekly basis. It's exhausting.
I don't know anyone who could sit next to Gary Neville for more than a couple of hours and not hit him.
No, particularly being a Manchester United man.
Yeah, and being a twat.
So you might be, in terms of simply through pure, not fatigue, but the opposite of fatigue, stamina. Carragher's stamina might pay off here.
I mean, look at the way he dealt with that cramp in Istanbul.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think he'd be like, oh god, he'd be screaming in agony, but he'd still be punching. Do you know what I mean? He'd almost be like on his knees, but just throwing the punches. And Hansen, I just don't think Hansen would have the response to that.
No, the Scottish fight within him would eventually drain.
It would.
And Carragher would emerge victorious.
And I think Jamie Carragher is our last man standing.
Incredibly battered, bruised, tired, with not a lot more to show for it, but
no.
I think he gets a free pint at the bar.
Yeah, congratulations, Jamie Carragher. You are last man standing. The pork scratchings are yours, my friend.
One person clapping, slightly worse than no one.
Well, we can dub something in.
So, and that's the Plastic Scousers November podcast, my friends.
That's it. Yeah, that's all we got time for.
Yeah, we are done. Thank you very much for listening. Before we do the usual admin, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to one particular listener, who I can't name quite literally because I don't know what their name is. But they have just downloaded every single podcast we've done. They live in the United States, incredibly, and they've just downloaded all our podcasts for the last 2 years, I think. Really boosting our numbers, and obviously we're still relatively new. We've done this for a good few years now, but in terms of actually getting on iTunes and being relevant, we're still slowly trying to build a bit of a base. So thank you very much to you, sir. If you could reach out to one of us and let us know, I'm at MTH Simpson.
I'm at OGB Collins.
Yeah, if you could reach out to one of us.
We'd love to have you on.
Yeah, I'd love to know what drew you to it as well, and generally just for good market research, I guess, for us as well. That would really help. But yeah, no, thank you very much, and thank you to anyone else who's listening. We appreciate every single one of you who does. I guess we go into December, and the fixtures are going to start piling up.
They are. We've got something like, is it 12 games over the month of December or something like that?
That sounds ridiculous.
It does, but I think it might be right.
I mean, yeah, with Champions League and lots of Premier League games, the next podcast could be a busy one.
Well, it will be. So we look forward to it. Might have a few more Christmas-themed features for you as well.
Oh, I do love a Christmas feature. Either way, thank you very much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, where you can catch up with all our podcasts. You can download all the old ones, and you can see when new ones are coming out. We're also on YouTube, and you can follow us at PScousers on Twitter as well.
You can.
we will speak to you at the end of December.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you in early January. Sayonara, and look after each other.
Oh, I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spy and Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's the team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league, we've won